915 2nd Avenue, Suite 3310, Seattle, Washington, 98174-1099, October 30th, 2025. Email only. Darlene Billups Anderson at gmail.com. Darlene Anderson Re. Clark County School District OCR reference number 102012440. Dear Ms. Anderson, Region X Alaska, American Samoa, Guam, Hawaii, Idaho, Montana, Nevada, Northern Mariana Islands, Oregon, Washington, the U.S. Department of Education, Department, Office for Civil Rights, OCR, has completed its evaluation of your reference complaint against the Clark County School District, in which you raised concerns regarding the dropout rate, suspension rate, and academic achievement rate of African American students in the district. OCR has the authority to enforce Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Title VI, which prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, and national origin in programs and activities receiving federal financial assistance. The district receives federal financial assistance from this department and is required to comply with Title VI. In evaluating your complaint, OCR considered the information presented in your OCR complaint, the various emails and web links you forwarded to OCR, and the additional information you provided in response to OCR's request for additional information necessary to evaluate your complaint. Specifically, by letter dated October 8, 2020, OCR asked you 1. What specific acts on the part of the district are alleged to be discriminatory? 2. When each act of alleged discrimination occurred. 3. Who was discriminated against in each alleged act. And 4. What specific facts or circumstances lead you to believe that these acts are discriminatory based on race? In your response to OCR's request for the above described information, you stated that various state and federal legislative bills' impacts on the African American community have been devastating because of the policies established within the structure of the local community's services as to how parent and community engagement is through a not-for-profit organization. You stated that the district has organized all of the public services with a not-for-profit organization that is not responsible to engage the whole community, and it becomes the community responsibility to engage, and that the Department of Education's mission is to promote student achievement and preparation for global competitiveness by fostering educational excellence and ensuring equal access. www.ed.gov. Page 2. OCR reference number 102012440. Community has been provided with this response no matter how one attempts to address the policies that are affecting academic development. You also stated that when you have requested information regarding the support provided at the local site, you have been told that they only have to report to the state, and when I find the state level data, the number of access for the early start for African American children was denied access based on the access. Under OCR's case processing manual, OCR is required to dismiss an allegation when the allegation, on its face or as clarified, lacks sufficient factual detail or is so speculative or conclusory that OCR cannot infer that discrimination may have occurred or may be occurring. The information you provided in support of your complaint did not identify specific policies, procedures, or practices that are being applied unfairly based on race, color, or national origin, or examples of specific students who have been discriminated against on the basis of race, color, or national origin. Accordingly, as the information provided lacks sufficient detail and is so speculative that OCR cannot infer that discrimination may have occurred or may be occurring, OCR is dismissing this allegation. In addition, you stated in your complaint to OCR that the district is not providing information to the general public about the services provided to students in the district, disaggregated by race, so that the public can understand how the areas of dropout, suspension, and academic achievement among African American students are being addressed by the district. OCR does not have jurisdiction over or enforce public disclosure laws that may apply to the district. Therefore, OCR is dismissing this allegation as of the date of this letter. This letter sets forth OCR's determination in an individual OCR case. This letter is not a formal statement of OCR policy and should not be relied upon, cited, or construed as such. OCR's formal policy statements are approved by a duly authorized OCR official and made available to the public. This letter serves as OCR's final agency determination regarding the public disclosure law's allegation, and there is no right to appeal. You may have the right to file a private suit in court regardless of OCR's determination. You have a right to appeal OCR's determination regarding the race discrimination allegation within 60 calendar days of the date indicated on this letter. An appeal can be filed electronically, online or by mail, or by fax. You must submit either a form completed online at https://ocr.gov/content/ocr-electronic-appeals-form, or a written statement of no more than 10 pages, double-spaced, if typed. If a written statement is submitted by mail, please send to the Office for Civil Rights, U.S. Department of Education, 400 Maryland Avenue SW, Washington, DC 20202. If submitted via email, send to ocr@eva.gov, or if submitted via fax, please send to 202. Page 3, OCR reference number 10201240453601. The filing date on an appeal is the date the appeal is postmarked, submitted electronically or submitted via fax. In the appeal, you must explain why you believe the factual information was incomplete or incorrect, the legal analysis was incorrect or the appropriate legal standard was not applied, and how correction of any error would result in the allegation being open for investigation. Failure to do so may result in dismissal of the appeal. If you have any questions regarding this matter, please contact Tanya Lopez, Senior Attorney, at 206-607-1623 or by email at tanya.lopez@ed.gov. Sincerely, Sarah Dunn, Chief Attorney.
Okay, I wanted to come and talk about just what the response from the Office of Civil Rights that I received in the mail. And actually, before I'm talking or before this little video part, I let the computer read to you the response. The real deal is this is 2020 and we are living in America. And as a people living in any city in America, we have personal responsibility. What is that? I mean, what does that look like? What does citizenship actually look like? What does democracy look like? Democracy looks like the people who are affected by public policies, which are established under the rules governing the federal dollars coming back to sustain a local city or a community or a state, that they are represented by the people who they are affecting. And quite frankly, the representation for African American children here in the state of Nevada is lax. It lacks. It lacks continuity. It lacks the ability to come for the community to come together and talk about the lack of outcomes. It just really leans towards draconian behavior. I mean, the real deal is that if we fail to comply, they kill us across this nation for failure to comply. That was the same thing that was going on during the slave days when they would run down slaves and chase them. Actually, that was part of how they recovered lost slaves, and also an understanding that it was in 1976 that California last paid for the runaway slaves to the southern states. We're living under states' rights. What is states' rights? I want all of you to understand states' rights. It means the people that are in the state determine access to public services and how they ensure that access is provided. The access is for you. As a single parent, I had to understand that I had to be there. And I was fortunate to being given the opportunity to be there with my children as they went through the public school system. But I just have to tell you that it was not an easy journey. There were reasons why I have this white hair. And one of them is because I am awake and awakened. I understand that it is our failure to oversee our investment in America, and that's our children. We can no longer stay asleep. I mean, one person can't do anything. I'm sure that there is a race that I can participate in, which is this color, as a color, and there is an ability to participate in the oversight of the team, the African American team, because there's just no I in the word team. I'm not confused. I understand there's power in understanding where your children are scoring so that they can move to the next grade level. That's the whole benefit of understanding that by the third grade or by, kindergarten or by Head Start age or whatever, wherever you're going to look at how well children are performing, you need to look at that race of people and how they're performing in accessing the public services. And, here in Nevada, the local school district, they're being paid with federal dollars. They're being paid out of Title I dollars. So many staff members are being paid good wages. Not only good wages, honey, they have vacation time, same time as your children. They have retirement, health care, things that you don't have. But they are overseeing your children, the pathway to the open door of success for your people, and your people are being denied. How do you deal with that? I need to understand because I've really tried to be engaged in America as an American citizen, but I have not attained, I guess, the ability to engage with the people who are appointed to oversee public services for my people, because those are appointed people. I mean, they don't know nothing. I mean, they've never even hardly ever even attended a few meetings. They don't go to the meetings. They don't know what's going on. They just hold a position and they are being paid to keep you where you are. But as an American citizen, you have a personal responsibility. Step your game up. It's not my game, it's your game. It's where you want to see your grandchildren. I don't have grandchildren yet, but I should want to see them attain a lifestyle just like other immigrants who come to America every day. And they come to America and they become citizens. And here you are, still an American without the power of citizenship behind you. You have no voice. Your people are just allowed to squander amongst themselves and, eat each other up. I don't get it. I do know this as I stand here today. I understand that freedom has never been free. And in America, you have the right to protest for rights. I have a right to look at the outcomes of lack of maintenance of effort for African American community, the community. I mean, because there are poor children and there are people with money here, and there are people with lots of money here. I mean, Mike Tyson, he's now running the CBD farm. I mean, but he's living in Vegas. He has a farm in Vegas. I mean, come on now. It's marijuana. Marijuana is money. And this is the first year he's ever gonna vote. His first year ever. But he's been paying taxes forever. And let's not pretend Lauryn Hill, and let's not pretend Wesley Snipes, and let's not pretend Black Americans don't pay taxes. So this is taxation without representation. And it's just okay for you people who have been appointed in positions of power that don't allow the community to come together or help form community advocacy for the outcomes of the maintenance for the overall performance of Black people who are living in any state. I mean, California has a lot of Black people. It's not a whole lot, but it's more than enough to be recognized as to have a right to have support or acknowledgement, or what can I call it? Being knowledgeable about where you are in America. Freedom is not free. And if you, as a parent, have a child that is struggling in the public school system with low grades, and even if they have good grades, there has to be evidence that documents that would sustain or provide you an understanding that that child can really be competitive in America or in the world. But if your kids are going as a part of the count in the dollars that sustain our economy. Because that's why they want the kids back in school. The children, they need to be back in school because there are so many things that happen negatively at homes, and across America, especially for African American children who were never benefiting in the first place. And how is it that so many of them are not engaged or on a piece of technology that would enhance or, you know, bring quality to their life? When they play these video games, they play them very well, I believe. And when they have these cell phones, they know how to use cell phones. And come on now, it's not that our kids can't learn, it's that the option for education is a modified behavior, and the behavior that they're working on has nothing to do with academics, has all to do with social and emotional learning. I don't know what social and emotional learning is. Do you? Can you measure the maintenance of effort for the dollars that they spend in the public education system, for their what they're paying themselves to oversee your child? Can you oversee or measure the maintenance of effort for what they're doing? I just want to know that. I don't believe that you can. The reality is that a few of us understand the process, but on the whole, so many don't. So when their children are in school and they're being sent out of the classroom, and what they do have the data on, they actually have the data on the willful defiance issues that are prevalent in counties and cities and large cities across America. And that's just your child unwillingness to learn, even though they have documented that your child even had the basic level of access. I am so, I don't know, pissed off. As an American citizen, I do have a right to share a concern. I have a right to ask how they're spending those dollars if they're federal dollars. Hell, when you pay taxes as a citizen, now they take that money from you. You can't stop them. My mom had to pay so much money in taxes because she won a little bit of money. But, it's not like she made that amount of money every year, but she had to pay the money on that. And it had to go to the federal government. And so when we're talking about the census and the count and how much dollars come back to the community, I want to know, based on the count in your people or the lack of count in your people. It just, if they're living here, there is an allocation for that person. And the federal government provides those dollars to help sustain it. But if you are a person with disabilities or your mental health issues or disabilities, I mean, that's a whole different pot of money. Right off the top, the federal government says you can take all that money and set it aside and provide those people services. And then there's, education, of course. But some of your citizens whose parents are very wealthy, well, the state helps to educate those people. But the federal dollars are really for the kids who need it. But if you're not doing well amongst those children, and then you have no interest in sharing or being accountable for nothing, because this is 2020 and you ain't got to do a damn thing. You ain't got to do nothing. But what you do have to understand is that the game has changed. And when you decide to say that you're not going to accept a complaint as an Office of Civil Rights, where the data is in your office, you understand how many Black children are being mitigated or pushed to the juvenile facilities. You know how many kids are being documented as willful defiant. And you know how few children are benefiting from the federal Title I money. And yet you don't have a responsibility to come in and train. You have no obligation. You know why you have no obligation? Because my people failed to demand the obligation. I'm demanding the obligation to provide equal access to the public education system to all children, not just Black children. But if you don't see yourself in the all, know that the people that have been denied are awakened. And we too have choice, according to this current president. We have choice to move to a school or a program that would benefit us. That's always been there. But somehow it's been fought by the states because it moves money from the general fund to other organizations. And my people need to stop taking their kids to these alternative schools if they don't have the academic structure to ensure that their children are making progress. I mean, because, I got to say this, for every 100 kids that were deemed neglected and delinquent in California, they would generate $1 million. 1 million for every 100. So, that I do know. And I do know that within 30 days of your school's program improvement, what does that mean? Underperforming. That means that the majority of the children there are not making progress, that they have to go and rewrite their school plan. But here, where the principals make all the decisions, well, who are you? If that's not the plantation, if this is not the plantation, then prove it to me. Show me the organizational structure that advocates for African American children state by state under the Black Caucus or wherever you want to show me, wherever you can gather that data. Because apparently, if they posted it, ain't real. Because they posted it on the web doesn't mean anything. Because if I'm able to see what's on the web, that's just my imagination. But what I see in the streets is real. And when I engage with people who are working in public services, well, when they can't count back change, it's real too. It don't matter what color they are. If you're not part of the 1%, I guess you ain't relevant. But understand that when people are getting paid salaries and benefits and retirement on the federal dollar, that's dollars that you too are paying taxes, and you are being denied access to the conversation in which would make things better for your people. And somehow we just can't seem to come together. I don't know. I don't think we know what leadership is. We're still talking about, are you a Negro? Are you colored? Or are you black? Or are you a descendant of slave? Are you a formerly enslaved? I mean, you can't figure out who you are, but guess what? You're born on this soil. And on this soil, in a democracy, it means all the voices should be heard. And as they're being heard, the advocacy of the herd mentality, which means that everybody's going in one direction, but the direction is not towards you. I think the herd mentality is against Black people here. Therefore, people are have sustained their lives. But guess what? COVID did woke you up. COVID woke you up, and now you are aware that the miseducation of the Negro or the colored or whoever you consider yourself, I consider myself a spiritual soul in America. And I have the ability to move mountains because I had the ability to ensure that my children got an education, even though they would not. I mean, because my circumstances said that perhaps not. But my real life challenge said, really, reality. So I'm going to say my challenge is for every person who has some coloration in their skin. Understand that coloration is impacted by willful behavioral issues. And these behaviors are not unfounded. A man threw his infant child over the balcony. Another man left his child in the car to suffocate based on didn't want to break his window. But then his mother would say he's a good child. He's a loving person, but he don't understand impact on our next generation because we don't have compassion for the babies, I guess, because the things are irrelevant. If you know how to get those things and you got those things once, and damn it, you'll be able to get those things again. And that's just the way it is because knowledge is power, and power is knowledge, and knowledge is everything. I'm so disgusted. But I knew that this letter was coming. I tried to put it out there, the complaint, originally, because I need to know how many third graders are making it to the third grade. They can read at third grade level. And if they're not reading, what are you doing to change that? I need to know by the eighth grade how many African American boys and girls are making it to eighth grade at the eighth grade level. But if they're not making it to the grade level and have not made it to grade level, then we need to start thinking about what skill you're going to teach them so that they can sustain themselves in America. Because without a skill, you can't do nothing. But then we need to understand that when our boys make children right after high school and they don't have the skill level to be employed, we're criminalizing them right away. And it's just okay because we're not doing the criminalization, no. But the system has established itself in which if you cannot take care of your child, the impact is still going to be fall on you. And so it really doesn't matter. It makes a criminal. I mean, I don't think that I took my children's fathers through the system of the white oppressing system. I think My oldest child's father got caught up in the last years of high school simply because I was not unemployed. I mean, I was unemployed, and then I had a disability. I mean, I was injured on the job, and they gave me a lifetime medical, which established or really equaled nothing simply because the lifetime medical is just that. It didn't give me benefits. So they gave me my Social Security. And then that's how I was able to raise my children because I needed to be there. Everybody can't be there. Everybody has to work. They're trying to pay the bills. They're trying to ensure that there's food on the table. They're trying to ensure that there's a roof over their head. And when they cannot do that, they're so busy trying to ensure that life happens for their children. But then we have a system that would benefit on everything that you can't do and pay themselves to keep you where you are. So, education is not free, but it is supposed to be what's appropriate. If you've accepted this oppressive system and the inability to advocate efficiently in your community and the inability to empower all Americans. It's just not the Black appointed Americans. I'm sorry. And it's just not the ones who are in a position because that job is for the job to do the job of the people. But when it is the people, then the people have to have an ability to go to a place to find out what's happening with their people and how they're being impacted and understand what could change because everything could change overnight. Everything has changed overnight because of COVID. It changed overnight because it was intended to change. God don't like ugly. But this is what America is, truly ugly. Letting people just ravage a community or ravage a people. It's over. The awakening is here. My challenge is for all people to stand up and demand accountability out of our public education system. If your teachers are relevant and worthy, guess what? Those ones will be there. But for the ones who are holding the guard, who are holding down jobs, who are not making a benefit to any of the children, then guess what? Get a clue. You need to get a new job, a new job, a new job. And number one, we need to stop accepting the willful defiance or the high percentage of willful defiance issues as an option for education in America because it's just not Las Vegas. It's just not Clark County. It's the United States of America. That's how come we have 80% population of juvenile hall people, children in juvenile hall that are African American. They're afraid to put their white children in there. Why would they put any children in there besides us? We're the ones that are considered animals. But if you consider yourself an animal, just keep your mouth shut. Don't say anything during this time. But before this election, you need to understand you need to be heard, and failure is not an option. Failure has never been an option for me. And stand up. Join whatever. Join in the fight, the struggle, the challenge for local communities to hold accountable themselves for the failure of the African American children in the public school system. I say stand with me because when you know better, you do better. This is Darlene Anderson, and I'm signing out. I'm going to post my video on my Facebook, my Instagram, and wherever else I can post it. Until we meet again. Go back and read some of my videos. I was in public meetings for more than 20 years. You can go to Sac City Unified School District's website. Go back and look, just type my name in the board meetings. I'm sure they'll come up. I'm positive because I was there. But you weren't. So few were. And the only way Black people were ever participating is if they were on the other side of the dais. But the Black people were never in the audience. And we need to get in the audience and understand that we are making a choice to turn away from our personal responsibility, and that's demanding accountability for the option of education in every state across these United States. Every state has a responsibility to ensure that access happens for all of its citizens. What are they doing for the people who look like you? You need to know. So until I come on again, I'm gonna try and find the original complaint so I can have that read by whatever this is, preview on my computer. And it'll read it to you so I don't have to say it to you because you'll need to understand what I said so you can understand what they said and what ain't working. Until we meet again, have a great day.